So now we have, it's 1 o'clock, so let's get started with the training. Okay, so welcome everyone to AF Digital webinar session. This is a masterclass for Salesforce Service Cloud training, and it is of three series that we have been conducting, and we already covered 2 episodes in this series, and today is the final episode of this series. So let's jump into this, and there will be a lot of content to cover today in 1 hour. So feel free to type in your questions during the session, and I'll be answering them at the end. Okay. So what's the agenda for today's discussion? There'll be introduction of myself. Those who have joined today have not joined the previous 2 episodes. There'll be a brief introduction of myself. There'll be a recap of what we have discussed in the last session. And then we'll move into what is the objective of today's session. Then we'll jump directly into the demo, and we'll do a Q&A. So this is about me. My name is Vibhu Pasapati, and I have been working as a technical architect for AF Digital, and I have total 9+ years of Salesforce experience. I've been working in functional space quite a lot, and then moved into technical architect space. Do have experience in various other CRMs, including Microsoft Dynamics, Civil CRM, apart from Salesforce. And as you can see, I have quite a few Salesforce certifications that I've achieved over these years. And if you want to reach me out with any questions that I could not answer, or probably time didn't permit to answer today, reach me out on my LinkedIn profile. Here's a link at the bottom of this. And this presentation would be shared at the end on our YouTube channel, so feel free to revisit if you want to. Okay, so let's do a quick recap of what we discussed in previous sessions. This is what we discussed in the previous session regarding the case ownership. What is case in Salesforce? Of course, we just did discuss the basics of Salesforce and more in detail about Service Cloud in first session, and then second session we followed up with in deep diving into different cases. What is the case ownership, how user and queues are being structured so that the cases are being owned by the particular person or a group of people. Then we did discuss about email to case, and we saw what are the benefits of email to case, how it allows you to move away from different inbox thing into Salesforce and run on your emails within from Salesforce and respond to customer quickly without switching the context, switching the system or application. Similarly, we did discuss what is web to case, how you can get your contact us forms embedded into Salesforce within no time. Then we moved into case feed, which is one of the major action within the service console. Those who remember what service console is, I did discuss about that. What are the actions, what a logger call, and how you update certain fields from the case without going into the detail of the case. Then we did discuss quite at a length about omnichannel and what are our routing options, skill-based, capacity-based, and how you use omnichannel in your business context. Yes, there are still a lot to discuss on omnichannel, but looking at respecting the time that we have, I did cover whatever could be done that day. Then we jumped onto knowledge. We did discuss about what are knowledge, how you can leverage knowledge to help your internal as well as external customers resolve their queries, and how you can use that as a case deflection tool. Then we did cover briefly on change management, how we could kind of drive some of the user adoptions, though it's something it's a broader topic, but we did discuss that very briefly on last session. Okay, so let's move on today. Today there are a lot there are a lot of things that needs to be covered today. So let's go into the objectives. So the objective of today's discussion is that you will understand what is live chat, as in this is again another channel where we discuss about email and web, but we'll see how live chat works as a function in Salesforce. Then we will discuss about entitlements and milestones, how you use them within the Salesforce context. We'll talk about case escalation, then one of the very good tool macros, how you can use them, and for those who are the supervisors of a call center, how they can use a different layout to monitor their agents' work. That's also there, and we'll briefly touch on social customer service along with reports and dashboard, and then we'll just go through a summary of all the Service Cloud, and then we'll probably open the session for Q&A. Okay, so I think we'll jump onto Salesforce quickly without delaying further. I'm pretty sure most of you would be very familiar with this layout by now because I definitely have shown this multiple times over the last two sessions. So now you know, okay, so your agent is sitting in this layout, and now we'll jump in to see how live chat works. So to show you how live chat works, I have to switch on my hat and go as a customer. So I have opened up a community, which I showed you guys last time. So this is one of the communities. I think I have to open up just another community for this purpose. Okay, so let me open the community. That's just a place where I'm hosting my live chat. It doesn't necessarily have to be a community. You can do it on or existing websites as well. It is just a code that needs to be embedded into your website. Before that, what we have to do is that we'll have to go back to this omnichannel and make sure that I'm on or available for chat. So if I don't make myself available for chat, let's say I go offline, so you will see the difference between offline and available for chat. So when your agents are not there in the customer care, so that will be offline, your non-working hours, what will happen is that when somebody goes here and I'll just refresh this page, you will see this will appear as contact us. You could customize this to look like offline or something. I've just implemented a very standard version very quickly within a few minutes, just to make sure that I can demo you guys something. But then there are options to modify these images, and you can do whatever you want. So this is offline. When you enter a subject and web email and submit, it acts exactly similar like a web to case and gets registered into Salesforce, and then it's treated as an offline case. But today we are interested to see how that's going to work when somebody is there online. So let's switch on this. So now I'm available for chat. So I'll make sure that I just refresh. Oh, I don't have to refresh. So now you can see that message has changed automatically, that is saying chat with an expert. So when I click on it, it asks me some detail like my first name, last name, and email address and subject. So this is again configurable. What are the details that you want to ask from your customer? So we call this as a pre-chat window. So before you start the chat, what are the information that you want? So some company just want their email address, and some company may require a little more information to make sure they can navigate or they can route this chat to the appropriate team. So let's think about, you have multiple product team, the experts are there. So you might want to, if you just have one page, then you might want to ask them the question, okay, which product it is related to, or what it is related to, so that you get to know like that you route the case or chat to the appropriate agent rather than sending it to one person and then rerouting that to another one. So, but then here I've kept it simple. Let's start a chat. So I'll start chatting, and you'll see it'll show you hello Bibu. Like obviously I have joined as my name, so that's why it's showing an agent is on the way. You could again, you have one flexibility here to show like how much time is waiting, if you're putting them in a queue, and all those jazz. I've just made it simple. So if I jump in here, you can see it shows me, okay, who is coming from which IP, and there are some details that is obviously it's showing it here. And what I can do is as an agent, I accept the chat. So as soon as I click on that tick button, so what will happen is that here it appears like this. It automatically pops up a window where agent has the capability of chatting. So as soon as the person accepts, so it first greets the customer. I've just put in something. You could do whatever you want, and then that's just auto greeting. And then customer starts typing. So customer, hi, how are you? Or maybe you ask your agents to type in from your like first greetings. So you can remove this option altogether. But as a customer, I send this, and as soon as I send it, you'll see here it appears here. Hi, how are you? So it's real-time communication that is started now, and there are a few features that I just want to highlight here. What you could do with live chat, because that's important. You can understand that this is a chat platform and the real time you're doing chatting, but think about these few features like, okay, I have a case with something. I'm just typing, I'm still typing, I'm yet to send it. So what I've done is I've enabled a feature called sneak peek. It's again up to your business whether you want to do that or not, but then this is a nice feature. So now you can see what the customer is typing. As an agent, I can see what the customer is typing, so I can preempt what my answer would be. So that adds to your productivity. So if you refer back to my initial discussion in the previous sessions, the intention of the entire product is to make sure that the productivity is increasing and people are resolving cases as fast as possible. So this is one of those very small feature, no, it's which allows you to see what the customer is typing, and then you prepare yourself as an agent that, okay, this is what I want. Case with product issue, I say that, and I come in here, I just say, okay, can you please give me the case number? I press enter. As soon as I press enter, obviously it'll appear here. It shows here, and you can chat. And in this method, you can always, there are a few things that you need to keep in consideration, that you can always, if you're not very sure as an agent how to solve this, you can always transfer the case if you're not the right person. You could, let's say you require a file from the customer, then you can ask them, but then that feature is not by default available on the chat window. What you'll have to do is that you enable your agent to request for a file. And once I request for a file, then customer gets that option of uploading a file, because you don't want your customers to just upload a file without you asking for. So that enables that feature. Then you could also conference this if you want to have other people, other team member who would help you this. So this will obviously, if I click on this once, they will not allow me to do anything, because currently in this org, I just have one person, that's me. So you need to have somebody else available so that it makes, you can join them into this conference. Then another nice feature is that if some some of my customers also request for this, that okay, if you get some abusive words or maybe some unparliamentary words that that person is sending to chat, they're not happy, you could block them. And when you're blocking them, you're literally blocking the IP they are initiating the chat. If you remember, like when we looked at the initial chat coming in, we saw there is an IP address. So what it is doing is it's blocking that IP, and it will not allow that customer to send any information. Then we have another nice feature here, which is request assistance for this chat. So once you click on this flag, this notifies your supervisor, okay, hey, I need some help on it because I can't resolve it or something. This all things that you're doing within Service Cloud is not visible to your customer. Customer just thinks that, okay, you are still there and you're talking to them. What you're doing internally, that is completely, that's something customer is completely unaware of. So that's why they're not losing the touch point. They think that, okay, I'm talking to the same person constantly. So that's how you do it. And one more productivity feature is quick text. So what are quick text? So it's probably important for me to just talk about that now. I don't have any quick text in here. What you can do is that you can create your quick text. So it's like the redundant messages, like, if you remember last time we discussed about email templates, you could use actually quick text within email templates as well, or emails that you're going to send. It is a smaller version of a template, email template, like a quick text on the SMS app, quick text on a chat. So you just create them, and then once you create those quick text, let's say I always say, thank you as something that I always use it. So you could use some merge fields if you want to. So you can use it, or you can, like, if I'm selecting some fields from case, I want to send that quickly. So that's something I can do it. But then this is a very standard message that I'm using, so I'll not select anything here. But I just create one and save it so that it allow me to use it here. If I go here and I do a semicolon and then start typing, it will automatically appear. And I just created, so that's probably it's taking some time to appear. Refresh. I don't want to refresh now because, okay, so we'll probably do it for, okay, it's not appearing. I'll do it for our next chat probably, then that way we will be able to see it. So, and that is how you can, quickly again increase your productivity of your agents. So this is how you do in the live chat. There are a lot more features you could actually do in live chat, like, if you want to brand this window in a different way. The standard Salesforce implementation gives you a lot of flexibility, but then if you want to go furthermore, you might have to go into a customization route, and then those things can be done. But we usually recommend, if you are just starting with a simple live chat, so just go ahead with a simple one, which is there as a standard. So you can see here the option for ending the chat is with customer as well as with your agent. So either of them can end the chat, and as soon as you end the chat, so there is an option of storing this transcript. So this transcripts are stored within Salesforce. So if in case you want to send those transcripts to your customer, you could do that. If you want to send that as an email or anything. And you probably would have noticed that by default, it created a case here in Salesforce. So as soon as I close this window, that case would already be there. And this chat is associated to that. The few other things that I want to highlight here in this window is looking at your past chat. So it's like the same customer, what are the other conversation that they have had, whether they have already discussed about this. So that gives, again, agent the flexibility of looking at what are the other things that they are already talked about, whether they are reaching out for the same thing. So then you can always give them that, okay, so, hey, we already spoke to you this and that. So they know that you're not losing any context. So this is what the customer service, right? So as a customer, you expect that, okay, anybody who I'm talking to, the customer service, they should know about me. And at the same point of time, you as a agent have all this flexibility in your workspace that you know about the customer. Also, if you want to jump into like the details of it, like the contact, anything, so that's already appearing here. To just give a snapshot of the contact, you can jump into that and then see. And then if you are as a supervisor, you want to see more details of it, you could always look at this. So these are available for your reporting purpose anyway. So there is, I think, obviously we have a lot more to cover, so I'll probably just quickly jump onto the ending the chat here. The few other features which I have deliberately didn't switch on because for the demo purpose is you could give them a warning message that, okay, if they are not responding within few seconds, then you give them a warning message that, okay, hey, you need to respond to me, otherwise we'll end or terminate the chat. Okay, so let's end the chat here and then think. That'll automatically end the session here. You can see for customer. Then we take the next step. This is something appears and like when you have an agent in your offline. If you're not offline, somebody is available, and then they can talk to them. And we saw when they are offline, you have to submit a case. But what if you want to run a 24/7 customer service, and you want that to you want to make sure that at least you're addressing the basics from your customer. So there is a nice feature in Service Cloud again, which is called Einstein Bot. Due to the lack of that requires obviously a license. Due to the lack of licensing on this particular org, I had to jump onto another org where I have those bots available. So I will jump in here. I'll show you the difference, just a little bit different here, but then see this chat with an expert. If I click on it, it asks about this, and let's put chatbot request. It's a little different, but then you'll see what the capabilities are and how you can think about your chatbot implementation in future. So here, what it is doing is that I am not online. So at this point of time, chatbot will kick in. And you can always do any way that the chatbot kicks in, even if you are online, because you're trying to reduce your workload on your agents. Here, a little different. You see, there's the chatbot is greeting that, okay, telling that, hey, I'm your Tom, your friendly tourism outbound machine. And then you're talking about some some status, like some predefined steps. So you could select booking status. So based on that, think about this as a where you have booked something and then you want to understand your booking status. So that's what we are doing here. And here, another point that I mentioned to you guys that, okay, this will go into a timeout. So this is something will appear like this. Plain say message within this, or this will time out. But just for this demo purpose, let's click on booking status. So again, once you click in, again, bot asks me, okay, I can help you with that. What's your booking number? Not the booking number, start with this. So you give a booking number. Let's type in the booking number. I have a booking number. I just want to type that in. And I give that. So as soon as I give that, my bot is going back into Salesforce and checking, okay, let me look up this. So that, and then they have come back, the booking number, this has the following status confirmed. So these are redundant, and then this is just one use case that I'm showing, but then these are redundant activities. You should not engage your agent to do all these things. This is a very simple chatbot implementation where it is talking about few things. And you could also leverage this for your community as your let's say if a health center, you have a health center and you have a lot of articles on it, and your customer is not going into those health center and searching for it. You could create those ones and then ask them and probably navigate them to those contacts, those articles for them to go through and resolve their own issues. And that's how you deflect the cases, and eventually you increase the productivity as a call center. Hope that gave you guys a brief about what is a live chat and how we can embed Einstein bot into that aspect and increase our productivity. The possibility is way more. Think this chatbot as a first agent for you. Don't think that it you have to have artificial intelligence in the system to do this. You could actually do just create some contents and then publish it in, and make sure that your bot is taking care of it. It does come with artificial intelligence capabilities where there is natural language processing, so it will understand what you're typing, and based on that it'll ask and clarify. Those things come later, but then you start with very simple implementation, understand what it is, and then you improve upon that, and then kind of go to the next step. That's probably how we normally do with the chatbot implementation. Okay, so that's about how we do live chat and chatbot. So let's jump into a few other section. That's our today. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll show you some of the new cases. Okay, so this is the one. Okay, so next step is talking about entitlements and milestones. So what are entitlement and milestone in Service Cloud? Entitlements is something that your customer is entitled to get your service. So any post sales, when you're doing a service, they most of the time your customer are bound with some kind of entitlement they have. So if they purchased a product, then based on the value of the product, you would have some service contract and say that, okay, you're a gold customer, so your request would be resolved within 3 hours, or you're a bronze customer and your service request would be resolved within 24 hours. Like, you could have variety of milestones or the entitlements for the customer, and these are tightly coupled together, like entitlement and milestones. So within a single entitlement, you are defining multiple milestones. So you could have a first response time. So you want to enable or enforce that into your call center, that okay, your agents needs to respond to a case within 20 minutes of its arrival, irrespective of what origin is coming or anything. You want to put that onto your cases. So that's how I define here. I have already done that for 5 minutes, so that's why everything goes, you see everything is red. So if I raise a new case, which I probably can by just going in here and making myself offline, I'll then go into here and probably create just a case. So that way it'll show me that it'll be green. Need to get my refund. Oops, I think I have already made. Okay, should have refreshed it. Okay. Yeah, okay, here. I need to get my refund. So I submit, so it shows that okay, case submitted, done. So that's an offline case. So we'll go back and see it here. There'll be case, and as soon as we open that case, you'll see the milestone had kicked in. So as I said, I just made it for 5 minutes just for the demo purpose. You could decide yours or whatever is the business appropriate. So as soon as the time kicks in, there is a green label, that clock kind of stuff that starts ticking in. So that reduces once that goes past, and then you could do all your fancy items, like you could do escalate the case, or you want to just have a reporting that okay, we have not met the service level agreement. So we call it SLA. So that service level agreements, you didn't meet the first service level agreement, let's say response time. You were, how many agents of yours are not able to respond to case within 5 minutes or 20 minutes? Then you go back and revisit your service level agreements. Are you promising your customer the right thing, that you would be responding within 20 minutes? Maybe, maybe not. So that gives you, kind of an opportunity to run a report and then see all those items and re-strategize what you want or how you want to run your customer center. And then here, you could have your resolution time, multiple levels of milestone. Even you could freeze these milestones. The clock will not tick if you have different departments and you want to transfer from one department to the other department, or if you don't want that. When you're shifting to another department, they have their own SLAs. You could go as fancy as you want, and then probably as complicated as you want. So, but then this is a standard one where you see what are the capabilities, how you monitor it. That's probably the first thing. So that's how entitlements and milestones work in Salesforce. Then we'll see what are some of the other actions. Let's switch to another channel, which is probably nowadays quite a big channel, is social. Like you have presence on social, and people are coming onto your social handle and then posting comments. Uh, so there are a few products within Salesforce which allows you to do a lot of social management. I think my colleagues are running some of the sessions for the social handling, but this is just focused on social customer service. So what happens is that if customer has tweeted something or commented something on tweet, that comes in as a case, and that is registered as a case in here, and we look at those cases and could respond to those cases as well. So let's jump into one of the cases which I did create. So this is from my Twitter handle. So I've just sent to this particular and at mention, which will create a case, because that is how I set up this one. You see the layout is a little different from the normal layouts here. You see about the social, there's something, it talks about what it is and what kind of response that you want to give. If you want to send a message to that customer as a reply or direct message, because it's Twitter, it gives you that option, and it does it automatically. I don't have to set it up. I just have to set up something, and then that sets up, because it understands it's from tweet. It tells you that, okay, it is a reply or a direct message that it could do, and you could respond to that, or you could look into that particular Twitter, and then you could reply on here. You could view source, which will take you into the Twitter. You could like, follow, or even more retweet. Now, all those things that you could act as an agent, you could do within from your service console. And there is one more section here, which is social conversation. It gives you about the detail about what are the conversation that this particular person is doing. So you could see what is the influencer score, what is the followers following, and all those things that you could see about that person, and then you could respond to that. And like any other cases in Salesforce, you could also set up a team for social, and you could you follow this omni-channel concept that we just discussed and pass in those cases to those particular team, and which is very likely that you have that in your team. So you could have them as a different status, and then they could go in there and then see all those things. So there are multiple ways how you can manage that, but then you could think about them as just another team, and then assign those cases into that particular queue, so that it is managed by a kind of a designated team. Even you could because you don't have enough confidence on your agents to because it's obviously it's a brand, right? So it's not about having confidence on your agents, but then again, you're talking about when you respond to, as an agent responds to this particular tweet from a customer, then the agent needs to be it's more responsible, right? So it's a response that is going from your brand. It's not the person who is sending this. So if you are conscious about that, you probably can also have an opportunity to establish an approval flow. So what will happen is that if I'm sending a tweet as an agent, and you want a moderator needs to be there who will look into that, the response, and then approve it, that is something you can do it. And then based on that, it will just push that tweet to the Twitter after the approval. So you could get that content to the social media just to make sure that your brand image is not getting hampered by any way. Okay, so let's jump into some of the next topic, and that is, I think it's very interesting topic for me personally. I like this feature a lot. I'm sure a lot of contact center would also love to see this, how this is helping more and more of them. So that feature is called macro. So I'm sure many of you would have at least come across some form of macro in your life in Excel. And this is a systematic way of macro where what you do is that, let's say, the redundant activities that we have spoken about, like every time your agent comes into the case, what they do is they open the case, they go into, it's very standard, they send an email to the customer acknowledging that, okay, I've received your case, and then they go to the update case window and update the status from new to, let's say, in progress, and change the priority or something. Like they do something and then save it. So this is a redundant activity. You don't want your agent to do the same thing for again and again, because you are not making them efficient. So you have tools to make them more efficient here again. And this is at their disposal. You as an admin don't have to set it up, or you as a company don't have to set it up, or any implementation partner to set it up for you. This is something you just need to train your agent, and then agents can do themselves if they want to reduce their or increase their productivity. What they do is that they have macros. They click on macro, and I'll probably be just here, and you can see there are some macros that I've created. I'll just run one macro and then show you how that's going to change things in here. And at the same point of time, I'll also show you how to create a macro. It's really easy how to create a macro and then start using it. So I'm on the case, particular case. So I want to run the macro. I have standard macro, which is status change and send first email. So that's the first thing that I do. So let's run that macro. So I'll hit run macro. You can see what is happening. You'll just observe the window. So it automatically goes to that email. It sends an email. Then it will jump over to update case, and it will update the status without me touching the mouse. It is doing everything here and gives you this. Okay, everything is done. See how, like, within a fraction of seconds you're able to do all these things. And this is a very simple macro that I have created. You could go as fancy as you want on these macros, like if you to reduce your redundant steps. Even you can go to an extent of running these macros on number of cases. You could go into the list view and then click on them and then run a bulk macro that the same action happens for multiple cases, so rather than you going in opening each case and then doing the same stuff again and again. So I'll just show you how to probably we'll just go in here. We create a macro. So we create a macro to you need to be on a particular case just to show that, okay, this is the steps that you need to follow. So you click on this plus button, it'll ask you create a new macro. You give a macro that, okay, close the case. So when you close the case, this macro would populate fields for closing a case. So apply to case, and then you save. This is just a description. As soon as you save it, it'll just open you a tab, and it'll ask you that, okay, you could now start giving the instruction or setting up the instructions. So you edit the instruction here. Okay, the builder, which is another window which it opens up, and then you could do whatever you had. I'll probably have run through. So if I go back to my I'll also open my existing one so that you can see what I have done. I just click edit on that one, so it opens up two macro builders. So what it has done, you can see the first one is I've selected this one. Then first step that I've done is sending an email. Then you can see here, I've selected the email template and I've submitted. So submit action is obviously sending that. And then the next step that I've given an instruction is to select an update a case action. We'll do the similar exercise here. So so that you can see here, there is nothing there, but let's add instruction. So if I add instruction, so probably I'll have to select a reason. So I'll probably select email. Because I'm closing the case, I probably have to just send a note to my customer. So as soon as I select that thing, it's automatically showing me, okay, what email you want to send. I'll just insert an email template, whatever email template I have. You can decide yours. I don't have a closer one, but then I'm just selecting anything just to make sure that gets response with solution. So I'm responding to customer, and then I'm saying, okay, so this is fine. And then I click on the send button here, which automatically populates the submit action. So that's exactly what you're going to perform, right? So that's what you're doing. And then you add one more instruction that, okay, you now next go to, once you send that, the next step is for you to close the case. So you go to update case and you add instruction, select update case action. So you're selecting here, and then what you do is that you're going to update the status. So you're going to update the status to closed. So once you do it, and then you save it. So once you save it, so that's done. And then now I'm going to save this. So now you see your macro is done within, I think it's within few minutes, your macro is created. And if you want to run that macro on a particular case, I think this is the case that we, no, not this one. I think let's go to the one that we did. Yeah, so this is the one that we ran a macro. And now we want to make sure that its status is closed. So let's go into here just on that and run this macro on this case. If there is any required field or anything, it will automatically stop it. It will not let you do it. If it fails, it will automatically tell you. It sent an email now. Now it is updating a case with the status closed. See, everything worked perfectly. So now you know that you could utilize this tool to increase your productivity multiple level. That's really efficient way of creating and running your call center. You should always promote this to your agents. I think once they learn how to do it, they will love it, because that reduces their activity and the number of clicks that they're doing. And every contact center would love it to run through. Obviously, there are a few limitations associated with it, but then when there is a complexity, you go ahead at the manual effort and then just do it, like when there is a manual touch required. But these things are really good for those redundant cases. Okay, so without further delay, I just want to jump back to my presentation and see what else is left. Okay, so supervisor console, we went through social customer service case escalation. Let's go to supervisor console before we jump onto the reporting section. So now it's the next step is, let's say if you're a supervisor and your agents are working on one number of cases. So there is a nice feature in Service Console that you enable it for certain users, that is Omni Supervisor. So when you click on that Omni Supervisor, it connects and then shows you all the list of your agents. What is the capacity? That is, currently I don't have any, but then let's say if I'm working on a case, probably would have been nice to, let's do one thing. Okay, so let me go back to one of my case and switch on myself for chat so that we could quickly start a chat session and then show you what it is, what it looks like. Test Okay, Omni Supervisor. Okay, so let's get in here and see there is a chat will come in and I accept. So because it's the same person, like I'm the same person who is looking into this thing, so it's probably not very ideal to look at, but then still you can see this is the agent and that person is available for chat. What is action they're taking? One chat that is in the current session. And based on the, because I have set my omni-channel based on the capacity, it talks about, okay, 25% of the capacity is there. So it's all those things that is, what queues are assigned to, what is the workload they have, everything you can monitor. And if you click on this monitor, it will take you to that window and then see what that person is talking about. So it's a very nice tool for a supervisor and then see what my agents are working on. And normally team leaders and supervisors, they do need to monitor their contact center quite often. They do look into that. And you could also see queue backlog. So what is my backlog, so that you could reassign some of the things if there's a lot of way that is going on, and what are your assigned work, everything. These are the three tabs that you could play around and make sure that you looking at some summarized information, like what is your this one, like average handling time. That's again a KPI for your your agents and your contact center usually. Okay, so I'll probably not do anything on that. Okay, so that's about omnichannel supervisor. And I just want to briefly touch on escalation rule. Escalation rules are very simple. If you set up your escalation rules, like if the customer or if the agent doesn't respond to a particular case within 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever is your service level agreements, then you escalate this case to another team. That's again standard escalation rule. We could easily configure that. I'll probably just show you a quick run through. This is a backend. You probably don't need to see everything in this, but then just for your understanding. So I have an escalation rule where I've just put in, you can have rule entries, a series of rule entries with a sequence. So this is, if the status is new and you set up your business hours, you have the flexibility of setting up the business hours so that this case escalation rule obeys your business hours. It's escalates based on your, let's say, 7 hours, 8 hours, whatever your working hours are. When the case is created, it enters into this rule, but then you can set up an action that if the age is over, let's say 30 minutes or 1 hour 30 minutes, so this is minimum 30 minutes, so you need to set it up. But if you need to do it earlier than that, obviously you have other tools to do it. But yes, this is the standard one. You can auto reassign the case to a particular user or a group of users. If there's a supervisors, they are, or probably managers, they are sitting in a queue, you assign that, or your particular queue also, a particular user as a manager, they assign contact center supervisor. You could also add multiple email addresses here so that they get notified, and you can you can see notification templates. So you say that, okay, this is a case which is not being handled, go ahead and then do something about it. So all those jazzy features you could do within escalation metrics. You could have your plan for your escalation metrics, and then you could implement that within Salesforce. Okay, we have a few more minutes, so let's jump into another. Like we learned about all these concepts. Like you implement Salesforce, you know how to run your contact center. You're creating cases. If cases are being created, your chat, your email, web. There's so many origin or channels that you're getting your cases, and you have just moved from your existing system to this system, or you probably have a completely greenfield implementation where you're probably doing everything in Excel, and then now you went into this tool. So what's the, like, you see, everybody talks about when you invest money into something, you look into your return on investment. So how do you measure that, okay, I've implemented Salesforce, whether I'm getting benefit out of it or not. So all these things is important from at the executive level, at the supervisor level, that they would jump in and then see what is my call center is operating. So they would have a clear visibility of a lot of the performances. So I will take you back into my slides and show you some of the nice uh, dashboards and the reporting that you could run, and that is by default comes in, and then there's an app exchange package. You could install them, and then you from day one itself you get all your those reports and dashboards. You could potentially customize those reports and to your needs, but that gives you a very good start. You don't have to think about all those reports because that's an industry standard. They're already there. So let's talk about that. So this is, so that's why I've kept it as a dashboard, as a separate section. You could see what are the open cases, how many cases are open, and you could have those metric goals, and then you can show your different types of charts within your dashboard. You could have bar charts, you could have vertical bar charts or horizontal, and then you could have this metrics kind of table, or you could have like just a number. It's you have a lot of options in there of reports and dashboards. So, and you have to understand this is a visualization. Um, every component, we call this section of each of them as a component, dashboard component. Every component is bound to a report. So at the behind of it. So when you click on that particular dashboard, it takes you to the report, which does have all the data in it, and the data is sitting within your Salesforce system itself. So that's like, you have all those features in here. You look at what are the open cases by account, what is the average resolution time this quarter by account, and I'm talking about these are the standard reports. Think standard dashboards. Think the benefit that you're going to get out of this reports, and you could have multiple level of details that you could do. I'll jump into Salesforce and show you how to create those reports and dashboard, but then uh, this is a very nice, I don't have a lot of data, so probably it will not appear very beautiful like this one. So you could have key performance indicators, service agents. So what is top priority cases? And a beauty of this dashboard in Salesforce is that you could uh, make them run as a particular user, or you could run them as a logged in user. So you don't, you create one dashboard as an admin or as a supervisor, and you run that as the particular user so that everybody sees the same data. But if your business objective is to show different data to different person and using the same dashboard, you don't have to copy paste and create it multiple times. There is a nice feature where you enable it that it runs as the running user. So it respects the security setting behind the scene, like what I'm able to access. If I'm not able to see, if I'm not supposed to see something, that will also not come in my reports or dashboards. So those restrictions can be imposed here so that, all those features and make sure that your security is not compromised. Okay, so let's quickly go into Salesforce, and we don't have a lot of time, so I just want to quickly jump into the dashboard here. I have an adoption dashboard. I don't think I have a lot of information here. Then this is a nice one I usually recommend to my clients when they first go live with Salesforce, to understand how their users are logging in, if they are logging in, if they're creating tasks, if they're completing any activities, or if they're adding any information to Salesforce, like number of accounts, number of contacts, tasks, activities. This is really beautiful. And this is a one which I usually see driving a lot of adoption is login wall of shame. So if you're not logged in, then it shows you like, okay, this doesn't have a data for that customer, that particular agent, a particular person in your Salesforce. This is not restricted to your Service Cloud. This is across any Salesforce implementation that you would have done. That gives you this benefits of looking at all those details. And as you can see, there are a few buttons here. You can subscribe to it, which would send an email to the user to get those more details, as like in the link to the dashboard at a particular time of the week or a particular time of the day and all. Or if you want to edit this dashboard, it will also it allows you to edit it. So once you go into the editing mode, you can see it allows you all those, if you want to change, if I click on edit, it gives me what kind of display that I want, what is my x-axis, y-axis, all this. I probably would not talk about more because we need to close this session very soon. I have just a few other points to cover, and then I'll go open this forum for a Q&A. So we talked about so many things in Service Cloud you could do, and this is again not everything. You still have Field Service Lightning, which requires completely its own session. You have Community, which is part of Service Cloud, and then you could also have that as a separate session. You could have so many other things within Service Cloud itself. But what's next? You learned all those 3 sessions. You attended these 3 sessions from me, and what's next? What can you do? So this is my recommendation for you guys to do if you're interested. So I think join the army. I think that's probably the thing. I usually been there for, as an I talk about Salesforce so much that people kind of tell me that, okay, I'm Salesforceified, like, I'm modified Salesforce person. So I love Salesforce. This is how you, if you don't know, you should start learning about this Service Cloud even more with this simple Trailhead, which is a free tool gamification that is available online. You could just go into this link and then start doing this. So this has a lot of information, whatever I spoke about, in more detail, in more depth, and you could take your own time and understand this even more, and think how you could get your career even into Salesforce if you want to. Then another thing that you could do is join your local Trailblazer communities. Yes, and because of the current situation, there are many of them are virtual now. So you could join them in and talk about and understand what they're talking about. A lot of customers come in, a lot of them talk about their pain points of the implementation that they would have done. So you could talk to them and get those kind of views as well. So I would encourage you guys to join your local Trailblazer community if you have not done that, and ask questions. So if you already have Salesforce, don't kind of shy away and don't ask questions. That is it's something that you're doing wrong to yourself. If you already have Salesforce and you don't have anybody to answer, if you don't know something, you can't find it in Google, go jump into the partner community, post your question, and there are a lot of people who are willing to help. And that's why this is the beauty of this Salesforce community, that everybody is ready to, as most of the people are ready to help each other, and that's how we grow the community. So I would strongly advise you guys, whoever has already done Salesforce implementation and they are in a fix, jump into the partner community and throw your questions and get some idea what it could do. Okay, so that brings me to the end of the session today, and now I open the forum for any questions. So let me check if there is any question there. Thanks, Gerard. Thanks for appreciation. Any questions, guys, on any of the things that I've shown you guys, or feel free to give your feedback after the session. If there is anything that I could, okay. Is SMS available for chat? Okay, so SMS is a feature that is available for chat, yes, but that is not available for APAC, unfortunately, at this point of time. That's only available in US. Once it is available in APAC, probably there'll be more uses of it. But yes, there are other channels like Facebook, WhatsApp, everything. You could integrate that with your chatbot, or you could integrate that with your live chat itself. Okay, I think there are a few Okay. How can we add Omni Supervisor to the console? You could add that Omni Supervisor. You need to enable that as a permission at Omni Supervisor at the profile level. So most likely your profile doesn't have permission to it, but then I'll show you quickly. If you by default it is not there, what you can do is that you can just, if it's not there here, you edit this one, you click on edit and then add more item and try to search for Omni Supervisor because it is already there, so it is not appearing. But if I don't have that, it will appear it here, and then you should be able to just click on it and then that will add it. But if you don't have the permission to that particular one, then you have to go to the profile level and make sure that that is available. Then we have, can you have multiply contacts to send on a macro? I'm not sure what you're saying, but then I think if it is multiple cases to be responded on a macro, yes, you can do bulk macros, which runs on your list view. And that is not, you don't have to open the case itself. You can go to the list view, and on the list view, you can go to a particular list view, let's say my cases, and you select multiple ones, and then you run a bulk macro. Sorry, if I have a bulk macro, I don't think I have enabled. I just created one, but then this doesn't satisfy the criteria. But then you can do that and then run that bulk macro. Yes, you can. Did you say WhatsApp we can integrate with Salesforce chatbot? Yes, you can. You can integrate WhatsApp as well with your chatbot. What is the best way to manage spams? Oh, I didn't realize that we have so many questions. Sorry, guys. The best way to manage spams is that you could create your own filters within Salesforce. There are a few automations that you can run, but I think the best way is to control at your email domain. So if it is spam, so you can put your domain filters at your email itself, like Outlook or Gmail, whatever you have. You could put those filters at your domain itself where they would recognize and reduce the spam. But if you don't have that flexibility, you can certainly do that within Salesforce, writing some Apex itself as some customization that can be done to reduce the spam. But that is not a foolproof solution to recognize what kind of spam, some words, some subjects and all. You could do that. And if you go to the web to chat, so there is a reCAPTCHA feature which you enable that it doesn't allow you the spams to be there anyway. Macro, Sue has asked something macro. I'm not sure what it is. Okay, so okay, cool. Thank you, guys. I think we are over time. Thank you for sticking with me for whole 3 sessions. We'll probably catch up sometime again. Where can I find your previous webinars? I missed it. Okay, so Gerard, there is a YouTube link. I think you should be getting it. So everything is there in those channel itself. We will be publishing in there. Cool. Thank you so much, guys. Have a lovely rest of the day.